You are not alone now.
I'm not the kind of man who likes to talk about my struggles, but tonight something in me needs to speak. If you're listening, whoever you are, maybe you're going through something similar. Maybe you're tired. Maybe life feels like it's pushing you beyond your limits. If so, then this story is for you. My name's Daniel. I'm a single dad, and for the longest time, all I've really cared about is keeping a roof over my daughter's head. Her name is Emily. She just turned 7, and I swear to you, she's the only reason I keep waking up every day, no matter how exhausted I feel. I work nights as a janitor at a local events building. It's not glamorous, and definitely not the kind of job anyone dreams of. But it's honest work, and it's what helps me feed my daughter. Most nights I walk out after midnight, my back aching, my hands covered in cleaning fluid, and that quiet loneliness that hits you when everyone else is home with their families. But that night, the night everything began, I remember it so clearly. It was unusually cold. I checked my pockets. I had only enough money for one small dinner. Not breakfast, just dinner. I was planning to heat it when I got home, so Emily could eat first. She was already asleep by the time I returned each night, but I'd wake her gently and tell her, "Daddy made dinner just for you." And she would smile, even in the dark. That smile keeps me alive. But that evening, as I stepped outside the building and started walking toward the small 24-hour diner down the street, I noticed her. She was sitting on the cold pavement, near the alleyway entrance, huddled up in an oversized coat that didn't look like it belonged to her. Her hair was messy, her head down, and she looked like she hadn't slept or eaten properly in days. My first instinct was to walk past. I couldn't afford to help anyone. I could barely afford to help myself. But when I walked near her, she looked up. And I swear, her eyes locked with mine in a way that I'll never forget. "Are you okay?" I heard myself ask. Even though I didn't mean to, she hesitated before whispering, I'm just hungry." Simple words, but they hit me like a punch to the chest. Hungry. Like Emily sometimes was before I started skipping meals so she wouldn't have to. I felt a lump in my throat. I had one dinner, just one, and the plan was to take it home, for my daughter. I stood there staring at the diner across the road. The warm lights flickering through its windows made the whole place look peaceful, safe. I looked back at the woman. Something in her face, it felt familiar, like defeat. And that's when I made the decision that changed everything. "You wait here," I said softly. I walked across the road, ordered the warm dinner. Just one serving, same as every night. The man behind the counter looked at me confused when I didn't ask for it packed. Instead, I carried the hot plate outside, the warmth hitting my fingers. When I returned, she stared at it like it wasn't real. I don't have any money," she stuttered, trying to stand up. "It's okay," I interrupted, gently placing the plate beside her. "Just eat." She shook her head, tears forming in her eyes. "But your family—" "I'll be fine," I said, forcing a smile. "Just please eat." She slowly picked up the spoon, hands trembling. And the moment she took that first bite, I saw her eyes close. Not in sadness, in relief. Like someone who'd finally found safety after being lost for too long. I didn't even wait for her to finish. I just nodded and started walking home. I didn't want her to feel embarrassed. Helping her was enough. I had no idea that someone was watching. No idea that what I just did would be seen, remembered, and traced back to me. And definitely no idea that weeks later, that woman's lawyers would show up at my door. But I'll tell you this. As I walked home that night without dinner, stomach empty but heart strangely full, I whispered something to myself. Kindness always comes back somehow, right? I didn't know that mine would return in a way that would turn my world upside down. If you've ever gone hungry so someone you love wouldn't have to, you understand what survival feels like. But what I didn't understand back then was that the smallest act of compassion, done quietly when no one is watching, can echo louder than anything done with purpose. 3 weeks passed since that night. I didn't see her again. Honestly, I didn't expect to. I didn't even know her name. I thought maybe she took the meal and just disappeared into the world again. Another lost soul swept away in a city that never stops moving. Life moved on the same way for me. Night shifts, cleaning the auditorium floors, tucking Emily into bed, counting change at the end of the week, hoping I could stretch it. Some nights I'd hear her stomach growl when she thought I wasn't listening. I'd whisper to myself, "I'll do better." One evening, I returned home later than usual. Emily was asleep on the sofa, a storybook in her hand. She'd tried to stay awake for me. I carried her gently to bed, kissed her forehead and sat beside her, too tired to even take off my work jacket. That's when I heard the knock. Sharp, unexpected, at almost 11:45 p.m. My heart jumped. Late-night knocks rarely bring good news. I walked to the door quietly, so Emily wouldn't wake up. When I opened it, two people in formal suits were standing outside. A woman, mid-40s, serious expression, holding a brown envelope, and beside her, a tall man, calm but unreadable. They weren't angry. They weren't smiling either. "Daniel Thompson?" the woman asked. My throat went dry. "Yes?" She exchanged a look with the man beside her. "My name is Karen Waters," she said softly. "I represent a private client who asked us to speak with you." I felt panic rising. Had I done something wrong? Was I being sued? Fired? I'm sorry, is this about the school's cleaning contract? I stuttered. "If there's been an issue, No," she interrupted gently. "This is personal. May we come in?" Something inside me hesitated, but then I glanced at the hallway clock, and the two of them, real formal attorneys standing at the door of a cheap rented apartment at midnight. They didn't look like debt collectors. They looked serious and strangely respectful. I stepped aside. They walked in quietly, looking around modestly. Emily's small school backpack hung on the side chair. My work gloves were still next to the door. "Is your daughter asleep?" the male lawyer asked unexpectedly. "Yes," I replied, confused. "I'm glad." He nodded slightly. This conversation might be overwhelming. The woman sat down on the edge of the couch. I remained standing. She placed the brown envelope on the table. I stared at it. "Mr. Thompson," she said carefully, "do you recall giving your dinner to a woman outside of a diner on Jefferson Street? A few weeks ago?" I blinked. Everything inside me froze. I didn't speak. I just nodded slowly. The male lawyer leaned forward slightly. "Did you know who she was?" "No," I whispered. "Just someone who needed help." The woman's eyes softened in a way that startled me. "That woman," she said, "is our client. She asked us to find you. She has been looking for you since that night." I stood frozen. "She is..." The lawyer paused, choosing his words carefully. "One of the wealthiest private entrepreneurs in the region. Extremely private. No social presence. Philanthropist, but anonymously. That night, she had walked away from a major personal breakdown. My breath caught. She asked us to tell you," the woman continued, her voice slightly shaky, "that the plate of food you gave her may have saved her life." I didn't speak. I couldn't. "I'm sorry," I said finally. I didn't do anything. I just gave dinner." The lawyer looked at me with something that almost felt like admiration. "You gave it without asking for anything back. That matters." The woman slid the envelope toward me. "What is this?" I asked, not touching it. Her response, she said, "A gesture of gratitude." My hand shook as I picked it up. I opened it slowly. Inside were documents and a check. I stared at the numbers. 6 figures. I felt my knees weaken. I can't accept this," I whispered. "I just gave her dinner." The male lawyer stood. "Mr. Thompson, she didn't pay for dinner. She is investing in kindness." The woman added gently, "She found out about your daughter, the school, your night shifts. She asked us to tell you. No one who selflessly feeds another while hungry should ever struggle to feed their child again." Tears filled my eyes. I covered my mouth with both hands. I turned away. I didn't want to break down in front of strangers. For years I fought the world alone. I never expected anything back. I never asked. But that night, for the first time, someone looked at me not with pity, but with recognition. When I finally faced them again, eyes burning, I asked one question. "Can I thank her?" The woman nodded softly. "She said you already did." That night, there are moments in life that you can't fully understand until you're living inside them, like hearing your heartbeat louder than your thoughts, or standing somewhere you never imagined you belonged. That was me, 2 days after meeting the lawyers. I was standing at the entrance of the most exclusive private restaurant in the city, one that didn't even have a sign, the kind of place politicians and billionaires held confidential meetings in, a place I'd only seen in news coverage. The lawyers had arranged everything. Black sedan pickup, no cameras, no names mentioned. They never even told me hers. But as I stepped inside, I felt like I was walking into a different world. Deep mahogany walls, warm gold lighting, soft piano in the distance, private booths with heavy curtains, no noise from outside, just silence. Then she entered. I recognized her instantly, not because I'd ever met her before, but because of her eyes. Those same tired, broken eyes that stared back at me through the rain that night. Right before I handed her my dinner, except tonight, they were surrounded by flawless makeup and framed by a tailored black business suit. Her hair was perfectly styled, poised, controlled, not a wrinkle out of place. Only her eyes betrayed her. She stood by the table, hands clasped, composed but visibly emotional. I didn't know what to say. "It's you," I whispered. She nodded slowly. "It's me. We sat across from each other in silence for a few seconds. If you were watching from the outside, you'd think two strangers were having a standard business dinner. But inside, everything felt like it was trembling. She finally spoke. I wasn't supposed to be there that night. I stayed silent. She continued. I had just walked out of a board meeting for my company. A decision was made. A cruel one, but one that was financially sound, according to advisors. We cut 5 departments, 338 employees. I signed it. She swallowed hard. Then I got in my car and kept driving. I didn't go home. I just drove. She stared down at the table. I stopped in front of that diner, not because I was hungry. I don't even know why. I didn't plan any of it. Her voice cracked. And then, you came outside carrying your meal in foil. You didn't even look at me like I was less. I don't remember the last time someone looked at me that way. I leaned forward. I wasn't trying to help a CEO. I thought you were just a human being. She finished softly. I nodded. She took a deep breath. I used to be that person, she whispered. Before I built the company, before I married a man who valued net worth over human worth. Her eyes glistened. Before I got custody of my kids and realized the people I had been helping had turned into case numbers. Silence swallowed us. She looked up again. So that night, someone gave without knowing, without expectation, without agenda. And for the first time in a long time, I remembered what compassion looked like. Her eyes locked into mine. You saved me. I looked down. My hands trembled slightly. I just gave dinner, I whispered. She gently shook her head. No, you gave decency. We stayed quiet for a moment. Then she asked softly, where is your daughter tonight? With my neighbor, I replied. I wanted to make sure she slept well. She smiled faintly. Good, father. Trying, I answered. She watched me carefully. I've looked into your record. You've never missed a shift. You've been working 3 jobs at different times in your life. No complaints, no requests for aid. You sold your music equipment when your wife passed and kept raising your daughter alone. Hearing that felt like standing naked under a spotlight. I didn't know where to go, I said quietly. After losing her, her tone softened. I lost someone too. I glanced at her. She looked away, voice low. My ex-husband walked out when I was diagnosed with depression. I never let my board know. I buried myself in work. My children only see me in briefings and rehearsals of affection. She swallowed painfully. That night I tasted kindness without price. It terrified me, because I couldn't remember the last time I gave it freely myself. I finally spoke. People lose their way. It doesn't mean they don't deserve to find it again. She looked at me in surprise, as if I'd just told her something she'd been needing to hear her whole life. Then she said something I did not expect. Would you come work for me? I blinked. I'm a janitor. She smiled. You think I need another executive? I have dozens. I need people inside who understand what real struggle is. I don't know if I'm qualified. You're the most qualified man I've met, she said quietly. Before I could respond, she leaned forward. I'm restructuring my company, she continued, replacing policy-driven leadership with humanity-driven decision-making. I'm starting with an initiative to support single, parents and underprivileged children within our organization, and I want you to help lead it. The room seemed to go silent. Lead? I managed. Yes, she replied. You've lived what most only market. I looked down. I'm just trying to keep my daughter fed, I murmured. She spoke softly. And I'm trying to make sure no one has to fight as hard as you did. For the first time since entering, I let the words touch me. I don't know if I can do it, I admitted. Can you do it for your daughter? She asked gently. I exhaled slowly. For her, I can do anything. She smiled, fully this time. Then let's change lives, Mr. Thompson. 3 months later, if someone had told me a few months ago that my life would change because I handed someone my dinner, I would have laughed it off. Now, standing on the rooftop of one of the tallest corporate buildings in the city, watching the skyline glow beneath the sunset, I'm no longer laughing. I'm living it. The wind brushed past me. The last orange light of day rested softly across the rooftops. Somewhere below, the world moved like it always had. But for me, everything felt different. Daddy! I turned just in time to catch Mira as she ran into my arms. Her laughter echoed under the open sky. She looked up at me, smiling. Guess what? What? I asked, brushing a curl from her forehead. I got first place in art class today, she beamed. They're putting my drawing in the school showcase. That's amazing, I whispered, hugging her closer. Mr. Thompson, a soft voice called from behind. I turned around. She stood a few steps away, wearing a simple white blouse and light grey trousers, very different from the cold, powerful corporate attire I'd seen her in before. Tonight she looked peaceful, Hope I'm not interrupting, she said warmly. Not at all, I replied. She knelt slightly to Mira's height. Congratulations, future artist. Mira grinned shyly. Thank you. She looked at me again, her expression gentle. Everything is ready downstairs. They're waiting for you. I exhaled slowly. Still feels strange. I know, she replied. I felt the same the day I stepped into leadership. You don't walk into change, you grow into it. I nodded. We walked together toward the stairwell. The elevator had been intentionally avoided by her request. People should take steps toward purpose, she had said earlier. Not shortcuts. As we descended, she glanced sideways. You've done incredibly well with the initiative, she said. 7 single parents now fully housed and trained. 3 have moved off minimum wage into stable careers. The company morale has shifted. They see leadership differently now. I took that in slowly. I don't think they see leadership differently, I said. I think they're finally seeing humanity. She smiled. When we reached the main floor, a quiet reception had been set up. Not a celebration for show, but a gathering of employees whose lives had been touched by the new program. A few stepped forward, eyes filled with appreciation, not applause. One whispered, "Thank you, sir." I shook my head. I'm just someone who knows what it's like. Later, as they left, she approached me again. I didn't get to show you something, she said, and come. She led me through a side passage to a glass painting mounted on the hallway wall. It was a photograph, not staged, not edited. It captured that night, the diner, the storm behind the windows, and a man setting down a foil-wrapped dinner before someone too broken to lift her head. She took a deep breath. Every time I doubt myself, I want to see this. A reminder that one act of kindness carries more strength than any board decision. I swallowed hard. I don't recognize the man in this picture. She looked at me. I think you don't recognize him because you haven't realized yet that he's still there. Just stronger. For a moment, the hallway felt so quiet that I could hear the faint hum of the lights. Then she said something that made everything pause. I've never thanked you properly. You don't have to, I began. I do, she cut in softly. Not for what you gave me that night, but for what you gave me after. She met my eyes. You helped me be someone my children could look up to. Not someone they were just proud of in newspapers. I lowered my gaze, overwhelmed. Mira tugged at my hand. Daddy? Yes, love? She looked at the picture, then at the woman. Were you the sad lady? The woman smiled faintly and nodded. Yes. And Daddy helped you? Mira asked. Yes, she said softly. When I needed it most. Then, Mira said with childlike certainty, you're family now. The woman's breath caught. Then she knelt, looking directly at Mira. Thank you. That's the kindest thing anyone has ever said to me. Mira hugged her. No titles, no roles. Just healing. When Mira stepped away to look at the photograph again, the woman looked at me. I don't know what the future holds, she said softly. But if you ever feel like you're falling again, I hope you'll let someone catch you the way you caught me. I nodded, unable to speak. She stepped back, giving space. But before she walked away, she turned slightly. You once handed me dinner because you believed I needed it more, she said. Yes, I replied quietly. She smiled. In return, I want to give you something you've given everyone around you. What's that? She looked directly at me. Possibility.